Welcome back to Off Guard. It's your host, Austin Rivers, along with my co-host, Pausha Hagigi. We are back as always. Another week, same us. Any gossip, anything going on in the personal life that you want to tap into?
We got to address one thing. Evan Turner. Well, where do you get off? he commented on the Off Guard page. Nothing to do with any of the things we were talking about. SGA, Jokic, which we were a few days early on, actually. It seems like now that's like the talk of the NBA. Who's going to win MVP? We were actually pretty early.
Do we
on
write the script for the narrative? Because I'm almost convinced that ESPN and Fox and a couple other networks, I'm almost convinced that they don't come up with their own content and just kind of follow what we do and then they just kind of make it as if they did.
I wish we were that big time, but
I think you're underestimating.
Also, right after we did that pod, Jokic goes and gets a quadruple, triple, two triple doubles in one game.
It was such a good game that my mom called me, who's never done that before.
Calls you about important family matters.
She usually calls me to tell me something I did wrong or something. I don't know. She calls me, did you see what Nikola did? Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah. And I look at the game, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of my non-basketball friends reached out to me about the LeBron Stephen A stuff, which we'll cover later. But that was something that even non-basketball, like people that follow football, they
took
were like,
over.
Because Stephen A. Smith is such a big name and LeBron's like, that's just too powerhouse.
Well, LeBron's
names.
The biggest name.
And then Stephen A. Smith's got $100 million.
Stephen A. Smith's the biggest name in media. Let's just call it for what it is.
So that's just two titans, clashing courtside. And that had people that don't even watch basketball like asking me what my thoughts were. But back to really quick, just how Evan Turner said I was 52 years old. That hurt. But I'm not going to dye my beard. I refuse. I think that's what you said. When I told you the 52 thing, you were like, would you dye it? I was just like, no, that is not the answer. I'm not going to retaliate. I'm not going to let the grays take over.
This is what I'll say. For one, Evan, words hurt. Okay? And you wounded my friend here. All right? You could have went with 42. You could have went with 45. You went for 52.
Not even 50. Skipped right over it. Well, that's what makes it such a good one, right? 2 years old. It's just such a random number.
52 is just insane.
It's like a good 90s big man's number. Like a good backup big.
You know what I realized, though? Evan is he's one of the funnier.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's all over Instagram. He comments stuff. I'll go to random page. You know, you just find yourself on Instagram lost on like these random pages.
Yeah.
I'll be lost on Instagram and I'll look and be like, I'll see a comment by Evan and they're usually hilarious. So yeah. I would take it with a grain of salt.
Oh, no. So I met him back in the day when he played for Atlanta when him, Chandler, and Alan Crabb.
So you guys are friends.
Yeah, so him, Chandler, and Alan Crabb.
Friendly fire.
Him and you thought he would just do that to a random?
I thought he was just coming at you randomly. I was like, that was cold.
Him, Chandler, and Alan Crabb on that Atlanta Hawks team in 2018, 19. They were like the three guys that
Shout out to Alan Crabb.
Those were like those big contracts in 2016.
Alan Crabb just made off with a little bag, had a little heist, and just what is he doing right now? He's just probably living his best life on the beach
Tyler
somewhere.
Johnson and some of these other guys that signed those
Bismack
deals. And Festus Ezeli, they're all just doing a 3-man weave somewhere in Cabo. But yeah, let's get into the Jokic-SGA thing. I mean, so we talked about it on the last pod, but things have heated up. We should actually start talking about the Thunder versus the Nuggets because they're also playing again tonight. Did that game? You've always been a little skeptical of the Thunder. We've covered it, a lot on this pod. Did that game do anything for you as far as solidify them? You already said fine, they're the favorites, but you still want to see them in the playoffs do good.
Yeah. It's one game. I try not to overreact, especially in a regular season. Nikola was coming off the game that he had and everything else. But listen, the two MVP front runners right now, there's really nobody else in the conversation that's even close. So let's just call it for what it is. It's a Nikola-SGA race to the MVP. And it's pretty much Nikola's name every year over the past 5 years, and somebody else. It just goes to show you he's the best player on the planet and has been. I don't think it's close. I think Nikola Jokic is the best basketball player in the universe right now and has been for at least 5 to 6 years. And here we are again in another year where it seemed like the whole year this award has been almost curated for SGA to go win. I mean, everybody wanted this award for him, especially coming off of last year. They won the regular season award title with their team having the best record. He had a fantastic year. He was second in running for MVP last year. Nikola won, and everyone's kind of tired of Nikola winning every year. Here is my bone, and this is that I want to pick, and I'm sure you will agree with this, considering you are a Nikola guy as well. I don't like when awards are given to people due to voters fatigue or due to.
Thank you. It's me clapping, by the way.
Somebody's won too much. They did it with Jordan. They've done it with Kobe a couple years, even though Kobe only won one. He should have won like a couple of those. But if we're going to be fair, they did it with Jordan. They did it to LeBron. All right, LeBron should have like at least 7. If we're just going to be honest with you, there's been multiple years where they've just like given the award to someone else because like they felt it would do good for the NBA, or all these bullshit narratives that are created. I get Nikola's not the face of the NBA. I get he's not an American guy. I get that he's not an ambassador for our game, and he doesn't help grow our game and market it because he's not really that type of personality. He's foreign. He's not really of the American culture, and he's not a guy that people see and are like, wow. Whether that's from the way he looks, the way he plays, his game style is not like a wow factor. All these things can be said. All these things don't mean anything. At the end of the day, black and white, numbers don't lie. Nikola's having the best year out of anybody in the NBA. It's not up for a debate. He dominates more than anybody else. He is the most valuable player to his team. If Nikola was not on the Nuggets, they'd be a lottery team playing for Cooper. That's just what it is. If SGA wasn't on the Thunder, they would not be the 1 seed. They would still be decently scrappy with some of that young talent. The other team, their team is so deep. They have so many players, they don't even know what to do with it half the time.
Well, I guess if you were game planning for each team and you heard that Jokic was out, you're like, okay, we're just going to
we're going.
If you heard SGA was out, I think you got to. I think
you still got to go play.
That team's they're
still got to go play.
That defense is real.
Absolutely, and SGA's having a fantastic season again. It's warranted of an MVP. His team is number 1 in the Western Conference. That has to count for something. All right. His team's winning. Winning matters.
And they're not just winning. They're 12 games up on the second.
They're dominating, okay? And that has to mean something because we always kind of give it to Jason Tatum when we come to his defense. Like, well, listen, he's the best player in the best team, and he's leading him in this statistic and this statistic and this statistic. That's very impressive considering the amount of help that he has. People always try to use that against him. We always try to come for him for that, right? Well, then the same has to be said for SGA because he has a lot of help on that team. It's a very deep team. They're 12, 10, whatever games out in front. They're dominating in the Western Conference. That has to account for something, okay? He is the best player in that team, and he's the leader of that team, clearly. You can see that he is the engine that makes that train move, and that's a big deal. Not to mention, he's averaging 33 points a game. That is a unbelievable number. 33 is most guys' career highs. He's averaging that on a nightly basis. Just coming off a 40-point game versus Nikola, which is definitely, you could say, is a statement game for him. He's going against the other guy that's being, rumored to be in that MVP race, and he went and scored 40 on him. You got to tip your hat to SGA. He's doing everything possible for him to win the award. So with that being said, if SGA wins, I would not be mad at it. It's understandable. He's had a fantastic year. He's an unbelievable player, box office player, very fun to watch, and he has earned that award through his individual play and through his team play. Now, with that being said, to circle back to my comments earlier, we cannot exclude a player just because he's won already 3 times.
So if neither of them have ever won an MVP, who would win MVP this year? Jokic would win. It wouldn't even
probably Nikola.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah, we all admit that
because his numbers are just—he's not far off in the point total from SGA. SGA is averaging 33. I think he's
third.
He's third in scoring in the NBA. So he's right up there, right below 30 points per game. But then, guys, he's averaging damn near a triple-double. I think he is averaging a triple-double. It's like 10, what is it? It's 10, 11 assists, 10, 11 rebounds. Guys, that's insane. He's doing this as a center. This isn't Russell Westbrook getting the rebound, running down the floor, which, again, not throwing any shade on Russell. What Russell did was incredible. To average a triple-double, I could only imagine. I played over a decade in the NBA and never got one. So to average that would be insane for 82 games, okay? To do it as a center, to lead your team in assists and a rebound as a center is just something that you don't see. We've never seen it besides Nikola. His numbers across the board are more impressive. Not to mention, we're talking about what he averages. We're not talking about his percentages that he shoots from the field and how efficient he is. He's the most efficient superstar the NBA has ever seen. Ever. In the history of this game being played, we have never had a player be more offensively efficient than Nikola Jokic. So when you add all of this into account, not to mention his team has been completely depleted since the departure of Tim Connelly. Let's just call it for what it is. Tim Connelly left Denver to go to Minnesota. That team is depleted every year since they've regressed backwards. They're going to have to figure that out front office-wise because whatever that is. And he still finds a way to have them in the playoff race. I don't know where they're at in the standings right now.
They're third, right under the Lakers, right there.
Yeah, so for them to be a top 3 seed.
And LeBron's out for the next 2 weeks, so they might
probably end up grabbing that 2 seed. For them to be a top 3 seed, headed to be a 2 seed soon, with the team that he has around him, which I don't say that as a compliment. He don't have a lot of help.
Yeah, especially off the bench, right?
Especially off the bench. They have 0 bench. For Nikola, if you took away all 3 of his MVPs, he probably would get it this year. And my thing is, I have no problem with SGA winning because he's having an MVP-like year. I love SGA. I love what he does for the branding of basketball. He is one of the faces of basketball. No, he's not an American, but the style, the fashion, everything he's involved with, he's a little bit more out there media-wise, all these different things. He's good for the brand of basketball. It's all good. Would be happy if he won. I just don't want the reasons for him winning to be because some other guys won too much, or because some other guy maybe not be the face of the NBA, or because some guy doesn't embrace the NBA or brand it the way that SGA does not. Because none of that shit means anything. It shouldn't have any impact in who wins. And I do believe, historically, if we're looking, there is voters fatigue. And it's clear as day with Nikola because they've already shoot in SGA for this year. And now the problem with that is they've shoot him in too early. And now we're late in the year, and everyone's like, Nikola's having like his best year yet. He's playing better than what he did when he won the MVPs. Nikola's playing better this year than he did when he won the MVPs. And mind you, I remember looking at his numbers when he won the other MVPs, and I was thinking to myself, this dude will never, there's no way he can ever get better than this. Like, I don't know where his ceiling's at. He just keeps
44% from 3.
He just keeps getting better. Now he's an efficient 3-point shooter. Now he's in a fit, bro. There's not a stat on the floor that he struggles in.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. So, again, I'm not against SGA. If he wins, congrats. Well deserved. Team's number 1. You're the best player on that team. You've been a fantastic player all year long. He's been unbelievable. But Nikola Jokic, if we're going off statistics, is having the best year as an NBA player right now. If we're going off who's been the best player in the past 6 years, Nikola Jokic. If we're going off team record, no, his team's not third, but they're about to be the 2 seed here soon, especially with LeBron being out for a couple of weeks. They're going to slide into the 2 spot. So his team's right behind the 1 team. And his numbers are better across the board. And he's more efficient. He's the most efficient basketball. Not to say that SGA is not efficient because he is, but no one's even in the realm of Nikola, considering the numbers he's putting up. And he's having a better year than he did even when he won MVP. All 3 of them. So what are we doing here? You know, this is something that's not talked about enough because everyone's just like SGA's MVP. It shouldn't be that way. This should be a 50-50 thing here. This should be a bigger topic. People aren't putting Nikola's name out there just due to the fact of them not wanting Nikola's name out there. When Nikola's having a better year than, like we said, during his MVP years. I mean, what is your response to this?
So SGA is going to win, right?
Yeah, it's already done.
Even the betting markets, everyone says SGA is going to win. My thing is this. Forever, we can point to different times where someone won an MVP like Charles Barkley or Karl Malone. Those are the famous ones against Michael Jordan. You know, I get it. Barkley was the 1 seed that year. Malone, it just felt like his long career at that point, he was due. And you look at other years where Derrick Rose won it over LeBron James, and you're just kind of, that was obviously some voters fatigue, right? They had a good year, but I'm sure they just don't want to give it to LeBron. That was sandwiched in between. LeBron won 4 out of 5. That was the one year. 1 year, James Harden lost it to Russell Westbrook. The next year, LeBron played 82 games. He probably should have won in 2018, but they knew they had to give it to Harden because they didn't. I'm just kind of sick of giving the award to people, not because of something of another year and not that year. I think when you look back 20 years from now, you're going to say, that's Jokic's best season. He didn't win MVP. The year Embiid won, sure, that's an MVP type of season. Jokic won the championship.
Yeah.
And you could argue Nikola dragging this Nuggets team to a 2 seed this year is more impressive than other years when they were the 1 seed.
Correct.
Just because Jamal Murray hasn't been playing good, Aaron Gordon's been in and out of the lineup. Christian Brown, who was a bench player, is now in the starting lineup, so now their bench is depleted. They already lost Bruce Brown last year. So Yeah, I guess when are we going to set the tables right on who should win, when they should win, instead of it being, oh, he won this year because the year before this happened. I just feel like that's happened in my lifetime. It always happens. And it would just be nice to give it to the guy that deserves it. SGA is having an MVP type of season.
Yes.
But I think the way stats are these days, every year you're going to get 3 or 4 guys. Giannis is having an MVP type of season numbers-wise. Every year you're going to get guys these days that have like 4 or 5 MVP type of numbers. It's not going to be like 20 years ago. And some guys are going to get snubbed. You know, what if SGA has these numbers next year and Jokic has a down year, which, geez, could it go up from now? Maybe SGA should win it next year.
I don't know if that's possible.
So if SGA wins it this year, and then next year SGA even has a better year, but they don't want to give it to him because they gave it to him last year, we're just constantly playing catch up.
I don't like it either. Yeah.
And I just feel like if Jokic is the best player of 6 years and he wins 4 MVPs, I don't have a problem with it because he was the best player for those 6 years. So that's my take.
To be completely honest, he could have won the other years too. I mean, even the year they gave it to Joel, then Joel goes to the playoffs and it was just like.
So remember Joel that year? At the end of the year, he had a 50-point game against the Celtics, and I remember your dad was coaching him. He was like, "That's the MVP."
Yeah,
that solidifies these late game. At the end of the season, these late season games, they really put a lot of weight on them. I think yesterday, SGA having 40. That was kind of everyone's. I mean, they're playing again tonight, but SGA having 40, I felt like everyone kind of stamped it. They felt like that was a statement game. Now, let me warn you, Serbia played USA in the pool play, and they got smacked by like 30. But guess what? When they played again in the playoffs, when everyone thought they were going to be smacked again in that knockout round,
it's a little different.
It was a little different. And I don't know what, I'm not saying they're throwing games, but if they played in the playoffs tomorrow, I don't know what would happen because all of a sudden Jokic is like, oh, you thought I was going to play like I did in a game in March? Like, no, this is the playoffs now. So I don't know how it makes me feel about the Thunder. How does it make you feel about the Thunder? They won, it was convincing, but I think I'm in the same room as you as far as if they played the Nuggets tomorrow in a series, I don't know what would happen.
No, yeah, I'm still not. I think the Thunder are a very fun team to watch, very exciting young team, and with all the young talent they have and picks they have, they're going to be very good for a long time. Not to mention all of their best players are very young. Even SGA, who's older than the rest, is still a very young player in hindsight. He's in like his mid-20s. So, you know, this team has a 6, 7, 8 year run here ahead of them. How they manage that is different.
I thought the same about the Mavericks.
And everybody thought the same. That's true. I
was like, Derek Lively and Luka, I'm going to have to deal with this for the next 10 years.
And again, people thought the same thing about the previous Thunder team.
Yeah.
All right. So we could say an 8 year runway, but if all these players are good, you can't pay all of them. And this is just what happens in sports. That's why it's very hard to manage these teams. So we could say 7, 8 years, but like we learned with Luka and all these other things, you just never know in sports. Regardless, they have a lot of young talent. They're going to be good for what we know, the foreseeable future. With that being said, I got to see them get over that hump. I got to see them prove that they can play at that level in the playoffs because we haven't seen it yet. Last year, this is a team that had the number 1 seed. They went to the playoffs. It didn't work out the best for them. They ended up losing to a Dallas team that, again, had a great run, but in my eyes, didn't really have any business being in the finals. And that was proven when they played the Celtics. They just were overmatched in every genre. I think the brilliance of Kyrie and Luka really just like propelled that team, and they were able to just execute. They were able to out experience.
Amazing series from PJ Washington too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and out experience OKC. I got to see them get over the hump. They had the best record last year. They got the best record this year. They do look different. They look more poised. They got a year of growth, a year of learning. I do think they're going to go all the way to the finals. I really do believe that. I still got to see it though. And even though I believe that they're going to the finals, if you're asking me right now, fully healthy Lakers with this new team that they got, if they match up at some point with OKC in the playoffs, it's not a given. If they match up with Denver, it's not a given. I'll be honest with you. The way Kawhi is back now, moving and grooving, had a little game winner last night with his left. You got James. It ain't given with them either. Because they have to, these dudes all have playoff experience. Kawhi in his case has championship experience. I need to see guys in the Thunder go beat them. So, because they're very young and they don't have that. They haven't got over that hump yet. They haven't got over that hurdle. So I am a big fan of OKC as a team, front office. They've done everything the right way. They got a long runway ahead of them. I think they're talented. I think they're making their way to the finals, but I still have to see it. And to your point, I completely agree. If they match up with Denver, who knows? Because Nikola in the playoffs is a whole different monster. Not to mention he's a monster during the regular season. We're advocating for him to be the MVP here. But in the playoffs, it's different. It's just different. And let's talk about it. OKC's Achilles heel, they don't have a lot of size. They have nobody to guard that dude. I can tell you that much. They don't. So there's a lot there. And that's what's going to make this playoffs interesting.